The rain fell hard over Silver Creek's lonely train depot, turning the dirt road into a stream of brown water. Sophia Fletcher stood beneath the overhang, her gloved hands trembling as she clutched a soggy letter, the one that had carried her dreams all the way from Boston to the Wyoming territory. The ink had run in the rain until the words were little more than smudges, but she didn't need to read them anymore. She already knew what they said. Married another stop. Do not come stop. The telegram had arrived just as the train hissed to a halt, and with it, every hope she had built for a new life collapsed. Her fiancé, the man who had written her kind words for 8 long months, who had promised her a home and a future, had married someone else. Now the train was gone, the passengers scattered, and Sophia stood alone on the platform, with nothing but her trunk and a broken heart. The wind carried the smell of rain and wet wood. Her hair, once carefully pinned, clung to her cheeks in dark, dripping strands. The fine traveling suit she had sewn herself was soaked through. 22 years old, halfway across the country and with nowhere to go, she could hardly believe the cruelty of it. The depot was nearly deserted. Even the station master had retreated inside, glancing out the window now and again with a look of pity before shutting the door. The last wagon had rolled away half an hour ago, and still, she could not make herself move. Then, through the downpour, a figure appeared. A man on horseback rode slowly into the yard, his shape ghostly through the curtain of rain. He dismounted with the easy motion of someone who'd done it 1,000 times before, tying his horse to the post before climbing the platform steps. His boots hit the boards with a heavy thunk, and his spurs jingled faintly. "Ma'am," he said, lifting the brim of his hat as the rain slid down its wide edge. "Station's about to close. You waiting on someone?" Sophia blinked away the rain. "I was," she answered softly. "But they won't be coming." The man studied her for a moment. He was broad-shouldered, his face tanned and marked by years of sun and wind. His eyes were the clear, sharp blue of a winter sky, and though his voice was steady, his expression carried concern. "You got somewhere to go?" Quote. She shook her head. "I'll find accommodations," she said, though she hadn't the faintest idea how. Her savings were small, and she knew no one in this part of the world. Without another word, the man shrugged off his long duster coat and draped it over her shoulders. The warmth and weight of it startled her. It smelled faintly of leather and pine, a scent that felt strangely safe. "Name's Aaron Barrett," he said. "Work over at the Double Cross Ranch. Can't leave you standing here in this weather. I'll help you to the hotel." Sophia's voice wavered. "I can't ask." "You didn't," he interrupted gently. "Come on, miss." "Sophia Fletcher," she said, clutching the coat tighter around herself. "Well, Miss Fletcher," he said, lifting her trunk with ease. "Silver Creek's not the softest place for a lady to find herself alone. Best get you somewhere warm." She followed him hesitantly, the hem of her skirt dragging through the mud. The street was mostly empty now. Lamplight glowed through a few windows, and the sound of rain on rooftops filled the silence. Sophia felt the curious stares of those who peered out, but she kept her gaze low. They stopped at a 2-story building on Main Street. A painted sign above the door read Silver Creek Hotel. "Not fancy," Aaron said, tying his horse to the post. "But Mrs. Holloway runs it clean. She might even have work if you need it." Inside, the warmth hit her like a blessing. The air smelled of bread and wood smoke. Behind a counter stood a stout woman with streaks of silver in her hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Aaron Barrett," she said with a smirk. "You bringing in strays now?" Aaron tipped his hat. "Miss Sophia Fletcher. She needs a room. And maybe a bit of work." Mrs. Holloway's gaze softened as she took in Sophia's soaked dress and trembling hands. "Another mail-order bride left behind, I suppose? You're the 3rd one this year. Men out here can be desperate and deceitful all at once." Sophia's cheeks flushed, but she held her head high. "I've learned that lesson, ma'am. I can pay for a room and will gladly work for the rest." The older woman nodded, impressed. "Got grit, this one. Room's 50 cents a night, but I could use help with laundry and cleaning. Reduce your rate if you're willing." "I am," Sophia said firmly. Aaron set her trunk by the stairs. I'll check on you in a few days. Make sure you're settling in. Sophia began to slip off his coat, but he stopped her with a shake of his head. Keep it for now. I've got another. She hesitated, then met his eyes. Mr. Barrett, Aaron, thank you. I won't forget your kindness. He gave a half smile and touched the brim of his hat. Just doing what anyone would, Miss Fletcher. When he left, Mrs. Holloway watched him go, her eyebrows raised. That man hasn't given his coat to anyone in the 5 years he's been in Silver Creek. Sophia looked down at the garment still wrapped around her, feeling its warmth seep through her chilled bones. Come on, girl, Mrs. Holloway said briskly. Let's get you dry and fed. Tomorrow's soon enough to start figuring out the rest of your life. That night, Sophia lay awake in the small upstairs room, listening to the rain tapping on the roof. Her world had fallen apart, yet somehow she felt safer than she had in months. The scent of leather from Aaron's coat still lingered in the room. She closed her eyes and whispered into the darkness, "Thank you, stranger." In the morning, the storm had passed. Pale light streamed through the curtains. The coat hung neatly on the peg by the door, a reminder that even in the loneliest corner of the world, there was still kindness waiting to be found. The morning sun crept shyly through the thin curtains of Sophia's small room, catching on the steam that rose from her damp traveling dress hanging by the stove. For a brief, disoriented moment, she thought she was home in Boston. Then her eyes fell on the duster coat draped over the chair, its edges darkened from rain, and reality came rushing back. Wyoming territory. Silver Creek. Abandoned. She dressed in her second-best dress, brushed her hair into order, and made her way downstairs. Mrs. Holloway was already up, bustling about the dining room while a young girl polished silverware. The scent of coffee filled the air. "Ah, you're up," Mrs. Holloway said without looking up. "Coffee's hot. Biscuits are fresh. You'll need your strength for laundry day." Sophia sat, grateful for the kindness. "Thank you, Mrs. Holloway." The older woman poured her a cup. "So tell me, who was the fool?" Sophia hesitated, then set down her cup carefully. "His name was Daniel Whitaker. He wrote that he owned a mercantile here. We exchanged letters for 8 months. He seemed sincere." Mrs. Holloway's eyes narrowed. "Daniel Whitaker does own the mercantile, married the banker's daughter. 3 weeks ago. Pretty little thing, with no more sense than a June bug. I'd wondered what became of his Boston bride." The words stung, though they confirmed what Sophia already knew. "Then I suppose I arrived too late," she said quietly. "You arrived right on time to learn what kind of man he really is," Mrs. Holloway replied. "You'll do fine here, Miss Fletcher. You've got more backbone than most that come west chasing fairy tales." That day, Sophia began her new life. The work was hard, unlike anything she'd ever done. Her hands, soft from city living, grew red and sore from wringing sheets in boiling water. Yet there was comfort in the rhythm of it, in earning her keep. By midday, she had finished 2 loads and was hanging the clean linens in the yard behind the hotel when a familiar voice called her name. "Miss Fletcher?" She turned. Aaron Barrett stood at the gate, hat in hand, looking slightly sheepish. He was cleaner than when she'd last seen him, his shirt freshly pressed, his hair still damp from washing. "Mr. Barrett?" she greeted, surprised by how glad she was to see him. "I'm well, thank you. Mrs. Holloway has been most kind." "Good," he said, shifting his weight from one foot to the other. "I brought something for you." He held out a brown paper package. Sophia frowned in confusion. "You've already given me your coat. You shouldn't." "It's not my coat," he said quickly. "My sister left some things behind when she married and moved to Oregon. Thought you might use them more than I could." Touched, Sophia accepted the parcel. "That's very thoughtful of you, Mr. Barrett." "Aaron," he corrected with a faint smile. "Seems silly you calling me mister, after I found you standing in the rain." She smiled softly. "Then you must call me Sophia." He nodded once. "All right, Sophia." He lingered a moment, his eyes meeting hers before glancing away toward the street. "Mrs. Holloway working you hard already?" "It's honest work," she said, "and I'm grateful for it." He looked at her then, really looked at her, and for the first time she felt seen not as some abandoned bride, but as herself. "You'll do fine here," he said finally. "Better than fine, I reckon." Before she could reply, Mrs. Holloway's voice carried from the doorway. "Miss Fletcher, if you're done flirting in the yard, there's a new load waiting." Sophia flushed scarlet. Aaron tipped his hat, hiding a smile. "See you around, Sophia." Days turned to weeks, and word of Sophia Fletcher spread through Silver Creek. Folks admired her courage. She worked hard, spoke kindly, and held her head high despite the whispers. Some said the Eastern lady had brought a touch of grace to the town. Others said she'd put Daniel Whitaker in his place, and they weren't wrong. The confrontation came one afternoon in the hotel dining room. Sophia was clearing tables when Daniel entered with his new wife. The chatter around the room dimmed as eyes turned toward them. Daniel froze when he saw her, the color draining from his face. His wife, a fragile blonde with the nervous air of someone used to being admired, looked between them, puzzled. Sophia straightened, spine rigid, and approached their table with quiet dignity. "Mr. Whitaker," she said evenly, "I believe we had correspondence." His throat worked. "Miss Fletcher, I received word you'd arrived. I'm sorry for the inconvenience." She finished for him, her voice calm but firm. "Is that what you call it when a man invites a woman to cross half a continent on the promise of marriage only to wed another?" The entire room held its breath. His wife's eyes widened. "Daniel, what is she saying?" Sophia turned to her gently. "Mrs. Whitaker, I wish you happiness. You will need it." Then she set down her tray, turned on her heel, and walked away, her heart pounding but her chin high. By evening, the story was all over town. A bouquet of wildflowers arrived the next morning. No note, only 2 initials on the tag. A.B. Sophia pressed one of the blooms between the pages of her Bible, the faint scent reminding her of the man who had stood in the rain and offered her his coat. Saturday came with a crisp chill and the promise of snow. Mrs. Holloway urged her to attend the harvest dance, insisting she'd worked enough to earn one evening of joy. Sophia hesitated until Aaron appeared that afternoon at the hotel door, looking almost shy. "The town's hosting the dance tonight," he said. "Thought maybe you'd like to come. Meet some folks proper." Quote. Sophia hesitated, her pulse quickening. "After everything, I'm not sure." "You've got nothing to prove to anyone," he said gently, "but you've earned the right to enjoy yourself." She looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. "All right, I like that." "Good," he said, his smile brightening his face. "I'll come by at 7. That evening, as the clock struck the hour, Sophia descended the stairs in a simple blue cotton dress she'd sewn herself. The color brought warmth to her cheeks, and for the first time since her arrival, she felt like herself again. Aaron waited below, hat in hand, his eyes widening slightly as he saw her. "You look beautiful, Sophia." She smiled, slipping her arm through his. "Thank you, Aaron." As they stepped out into the chilly Wyoming night toward the flickering lights of the town hall, Sophia realized that the storm which had nearly broken her had also brought something unexpected, a chance to begin again. The autumn wind carried the faint sound of fiddles and laughter across Silver Creek as Aaron helped Sophia down from the wagon. The town hall glowed with lamplight, warm against the chill of the Wyoming night. Couples were already dancing inside, boots thudding against the wooden floor in time with the music. Sophia hesitated on the steps, clutching her shawl. "I haven't danced in years," she admitted softly. Aaron offered his arm with an easy smile. "Then tonight's a good night to start again." Inside, the room was lively. Tables piled with food, children darting between legs, and the band playing a cheerful reel. Conversations hushed for a heartbeat as folks noticed them enter, but instead of whispers or judgment, Sophia was met with smiles. Women she'd seen around town waved her over, introducing themselves warmly. "Welcome to Silver Creek, Miss Fletcher," said Martha Simmons, the blacksmith's wife. "We've been waiting to meet the lady who told Daniel Whitaker exactly what he deserved." Laughter rippled through the group, and Sophia blushed. "I only told the truth," she said, her smile shy but steady. "Well, truth's been scarce round here lately," Martha said, patting her arm. "You did this town a favor." Aaron guided Sophia to the dance floor, his hands steady at her back. The music swelled, and they moved together, hesitant at first, then finding a rhythm that felt natural. Sophia's blue dress swirled around her boots as she laughed, a sound even she hadn't heard from herself in months. Between songs, Aaron led her outside for air. The night sky was scattered with stars, the kind that felt close enough to touch. Snow shimmered faintly on the mountain peaks. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "Always is after the first frost," Aaron said, looking not at the sky but at her. She turned toward him, her breath visible in the cold air. "You've been kind to me since the day we met. You didn't have to be." He shifted his weight, his eyes soft. "Couldn't leave you standing there in the rain. My ma always said, a man's worth is measured by how he treats someone who can do nothing for him." Sophia smiled. "Then she raised you right." He hesitated, then reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small parcel wrapped in brown paper. "It's not Christmas yet, but I made this for you." Curious, Sophia unwrapped the paper carefully. Inside was a small wooden box carved with delicate flowers. When she opened it, a gentle tune played, tinny and sweet. "It's beautiful," she said softly. "My mother had one like it," Aaron explained. "She used to play it when times were bad. Reminded her that even in hard places, there's still beauty left in the world. You've been that for me, Sophia." Her throat tightened. "Aaron, I'm not asking for an answer tonight," he said, his voice low. "But I want you to know that meeting you, helping you that night, wasn't chance. It was the best thing that's happened to me since I came to this town." For a long moment they stood in silence, snow beginning to fall softly around them. Then Sophia reached out, laying her hand against his chest, feeling the steady beat beneath her palm. "When I stepped off that train, I thought my life was ending," she said. "But maybe it was just changing direction." Aaron smiled faintly. "Maybe it was starting." Quote. The music inside shifted to a slow waltz. Aaron held out his hand. "Dance with me, Sophia." Under the starlit sky they swayed together, the faint strains of the fiddle drifting through the open door. The snow fell thicker now, dusting their hair and shoulders, but neither noticed. By winter, Sophia's life had transformed. She had earned respect in Silver Creek, her sharp mind and gentle heart winning over even the roughest townsfolk. Mrs. Holloway trusted her with bookkeeping and decisions, and Wren, the young Cheyenne seamstress Sophia had befriended, now worked part-time at the hotel making dresses for travelers. Aaron visited often, bringing news from the Double Cross Ranch or simply finding excuses to stop by. Sometimes he'd linger after supper, helping her stack firewood or sharing stories by the hearth. He never pressed, never hurried her, just stayed near in the quiet, steady way of a man who meant what he said. When spring came, Sophia accepted the position of schoolteacher in Silver Creek. The small white schoolhouse at the edge of town became her new home. She planted flowers outside and filled the shelves with books she ordered from back east. On the first day of April, Aaron appeared at the schoolyard gate, a nervous look in his eyes and a small box in his hand. "I'm not a rich man," he began, voice rough, "but the foreman at the Double Cross is retiring. Mr. Douglas offered me the post. Comes with a house. It ain't much, but it's solid. And I'd like to share it with you." Sophia's breath caught. He opened the box to reveal a simple gold ring. "I thought I knew what I wanted when I came west," she said softly, "but now I realize I had no idea until I met you." Aaron's smile was unsteady but full of hope. "Then say yes, Sophia, make me the luckiest man in Silver Creek." She did. Their wedding that June was small but joyful, Mrs. Holloway cried openly. Wren made the dress, a modest gown of cream muslin, and Daniel Whitaker, humbled by his own misfortune, even sent a gift of china from his store. As the sun dipped behind the mountains, Aaron led Sophia onto the dance floor for their first waltz as husband and wife. By the door hung his old duster coat, carefully cleaned but still worn at the edges. "You kept it," Sophia murmured, smiling. Aaron followed her gaze and chuckled. "That coat brought you to me. I couldn't throw away luck like that." She rested her head against his chest. "Then I suppose I'll never look at rain the same way again." Years later, when their children were grown and Silver Creek had become a bustling town, The Barrett home still held two treasures: a small music box that played a tender melody, and a weathered coat that had once sheltered a lost young woman at a lonely train depot. The coat reminded them both that love often begins not with grand promises, but with a simple act of kindness on a stormy night.